This week I travelled back to Brussels to record the European report, the first time since the terrible terrorist attacks that took place on Tuesday the 22nd of March. That dark day in Belgium's capital killed over 30 people and injured more than 300 in what is now considered the biggest terrorist attack in Belgium's history. I had a peace from the Lord about going, but even so I felt a little apprehensive about wondering what I would expect as I'd arrive at Brussels' main train station on the Eurostar. I knew that it was important to record a programme in the European Parliament to gain a greater understanding of the events behind the terror attack. As I disembarked from the train in Brussels, walked towards the exit, I saw the extent of the new security realities in Brussels. I saw 5 military trucks outside the train station. I saw 6 Belgian paratroopers with machine guns, and there were barriers set up everywhere. I'd seen a build-up of Belgian troops around Brussels since the attack on the cartoonist at Charlie Hebdo magazine and the Jewish kosher supermarket in Paris in January 2015. But I have never seen such a military presence in a Western city. Not even Jerusalem has as many troops patrolling the streets. The city of Brussels is on edge, just like London was after the 7/7 attack. Travelling around Brussels, you see that many metro stations are closed, and I personally did not want to travel on public transport. So my friend Rocky gave me a lift around the city. Rocky is an American missionary working in Brussels. He witnessed the terror attack at first hand. He took us to Molenbeek, the area of Brussels that has become the most dangerous part of Europe. Molenbeek has become notorious for becoming the breeding ground for extreme Islamization and for creating the highest number of Muslims to become jihadis for ISIS. My first impressions of Molenbeek was that this was a very Arabic area with Moroccan and Lebanese food stores, as well as Arabic writing everywhere. It is a rundown neighbourhood, but it's not as impoverished area as the mainstream media portray it. The area of Molenbeek is close to the main central station in Brussels, and as we drove into the main square, we saw very few people out walking the streets, but those we did see wore very traditional Islamic clothing, and the women wore hijabs. When you drive around the streets of Molenbeek and you think that this is where the ISIS terrorists who carried out the shocking terror attack in Paris and now the attack on Brussels come from, it sends a chill right through you. We left Molenbeek and headed towards the European Parliament, where we saw extra security and soldiers outside. We recorded my monthly programme, the European Report, and I interviewed Rocky, my American friend, who came so close to death that day. You were there at the scene when the 2 suicide bombs went off the airport. Can you describe what you saw and what was happening around you?
So I had arrived at the airport that morning. It was just a normal airport run, drop off a friend, drive off. So I managed to get him out of the car, suitcases, get him into the building. As I'm driving away, the first bomb explosion takes place behind me. And then the people began to pour out of the building. And so we normally wait for the pedestrians to cross, and now I'm sitting right at the main crosswalk and the main front door, and the people are just in fear, getting as far away from the building as possible. And I'm connecting with their emotions and their fear, but the second explosion then takes place about 10 seconds later, and all of the windows just come exploding away from the building. So it was almost like you were in a film. It was just as dramatic as you would feel. You never expect yourself to be in that situation, and here you are faced with it and being that close. Of course, we had no idea what was coming next. I decided to park my car and go and find my friend. So I thought it was important. I didn't know what I was going to be facing, but I thought, you know, he could be in some other level of danger if I don't get him out of the building. But after I parked my car, the injured people began to come out of the building at that time. So people with blood on their clothes, and I first helped one lady who was a teacher and had students inside the building. The next man had a big gash on his head, and his blood was pouring down his face. So just one after the other just began to assist them in the process of getting them to a place of safety, or getting them to where they were could be calm, and or in a safe location where somebody else could take care of them. I made it all the way to the other side of the building so that I could find my friend. The police had pushed a crowd behind the building, so I searched that crowd first and found my friend. We found ourselves right where they were setting up a triage unit, so we were able to just begin to help different people. The people were still shaking, even 20 minutes, 30 minutes after the explosions. They were still shaking with fear, and just in the process of talking to them, they would be able to take a deep breath. They would be able to calm down. They'd put a human face to bring a little bit of peace to their life. So I felt like I was there for a reason. I felt like I was there for a purpose, and I felt this complete sense of calm and peace over me. I don't know why I felt that. I just felt that that was some kind of divine intervention for my own protection, and then it empowered me to help some others that actually had touched the level of fear that the explosions try to create.
And Rocky, can you describe a little bit more about your friend that you're dropping off at the airport and how close he came to death?
Yes,
in this terrorist attack?
He was supposed to report to the road number 11, and the bomb took place between a pharmacy and row number 11. So had he gone directly to the airport counter, he would have been in immediate danger of the first explosion. And of course, we had just arrived. He had just walked in the building, so it was very likely he could have gone straight there. He chose to actually go backwards away from that bombing location and went to go weigh his luggage again. And so in that process, it put him behind a concrete pillar, and he literally was out of the danger zone within a matter of seconds. And then after the second explosion went off, he said the ceiling tiles just began to fall out of the ceiling. So the feeling is the whole building might be coming down. There was no way of telling, so everybody just began to immediately run out of the building. So he was completely safe, and he's been processing the whole experience, over the last few days, and it's something that people have to work through, and you need time to kind of sort out your feelings and what just happened to you, and why, some of the safety issues of where you are.
My observations after having been in Brussels are that it's no longer business as usual. To see paratroopers armed with machine guns is something that Europe has not seen since World War II. There is a strong feeling that Europe has changed, but not for the better, as Islamic terrorism has become a reality that is designed to put fear into people's hearts and to destroy our democracy and way of life. You can't help but think that the vision of the European Commission of creating the foundations for a European superstate by dismantling Europe's borders and encouraging much immigration from Islamic countries. Also creating a new multicultural Europe that has abandoned its Judeo-Christian heritage has now endangered the very future of Europe. To save Europe from the brink, we need to pray and intercede for European leaders, to lead Europe back to God, and to repent of trying to create a modern-day Babel that worships man's achievements rather than honouring the God of Israel as the supreme authority.